So today we're speaking to Judith Higson of Scully & Law, really about what happens and what you should do when you start thinking about relationship breakdown or divorce, separation, that kind of thing. So thank you for speaking to us today, Judith.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Alison. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think, having done what I'm doing for so long, it's quite clear to me that it's really important to choose your family lawyer carefully, and do a bit of research about, what family lawyers there are that might be out there to help you. Obviously, at Scully & Law, we'd love to have you on board. And your family lawyer does need to be a good fit for you. So, when you're doing the research, I would encourage, you to think about what other people are saying. Are there good reviews about this particular lawyer? And on our website, scullyandlaw.com, you can certainly see some of the things that our clients have said about us. So I think it's really important to make a good choice from the very beginning, and take it from there. We're based in Scotland, but we have a network of contacts throughout the UK. So if you ordinarily live in Scotland, it's likely we're going to be able to help you. But if you can't, then we're going to be able to find someone who is going to be able to help. So that's the first thing I would say. Choose who you're going to speak to quite carefully, and also have a think about potentially maybe the different processes that you could use. So, we very much our team come from a perspective of court action as a last resort. It's expensive, it's very stressful for the client, and it's to be avoided where possible. So looking at alternatives to going to court is a really good way of kind of preparing yourself as well. So there's collaboration and there's mediation. And certainly here at Scully & Law, we also like to offer our clients an option of suggesting to the other party or their solicitor that we have a joint meeting. It's called a without prejudice meeting to try and resolve the issues, where everybody kind of gets around the table and what's said can't be relied upon in court. So those are the options. Mediation has really good stats in terms of how cost effective it is, and also in terms of the positive outcomes it can have for families, particularly where there are children involved. Collaboration, the umbrella organisation in Scotland which regulates collaborative lawyers is consensusscotland.com. So if you have a look on there, you'll get a really good sense of what's involved there. We offer a full service, and our team can help with whatever process might be best for you. We can take you through what the options are and give you advice around what's going to be best for you and your family. So I think having a think about the processes is a good sort of starting point as well.
And I don't think anybody just decides from one day to the next, do you? I mean, we were thinking about it always kind of gets busier in September when people are coming back from holidays, and I know certainly in my case, came back, I can remember that final last holiday. I mean, it wasn't until sort of nearly a year later that I actually jumped ahead and decided that I actually wanted to go to get divorced. But I think a lot of people maybe think about it for, some people even think about it for maybe 10 years before they do anything about it. They're pondering. So is it a good idea, even if you're thinking about it, to go and speak to someone just to find out what happens next?
Absolutely. I mean, wherever you are on that journey, speaking to a family lawyer, and we offer an initial meeting where we sit down or on screen with the potential client, with the client for around an hour. And we go through things in detail, and we get a history of what's been happening, and we get a snapshot of how things are looking, so that we can give recommendations and advice. And it's information, and information is power, isn't it? So the better informed you are, the more control you have over how things go from here. I mean, in terms of sort of practical things, it's a good idea to have a think about your date of separation. We use that date here in Scotland to look at a snapshot of your assets and debts, and that forms the pot to be divided between you if you're married. And if you're living together and you've separated, we need to look at this date of separation at the very, very beginning, because you only have 12 months from that date to make a financial claim. But what I would say, I really want to emphasize, you don't feel you have to prepare for it. You know, don't feel pressure to, you know, do a lot of, you know, gathering of information, because we will guide you through that. And what we'll do is we'll look at your assets and your debts when we're looking at a financial division. So having those details to hand will help, but don't worry if you don't have them. If you have a house, knowing the approximate value helps. The amount outstanding on the mortgage, if you know that, that's really helpful. If you've got details of bank accounts, savings, investments, pensions, and you know, approximate values of any other assets, that's useful information. And when we're looking at debts, details of your credit cards and loans. But like I say, you don't need to worry if you don't have it. We'll guide you through what you need to give us when we're gathering that information together. So you can do as much prep work as you want, or, you know, trust in us and rely on us, because we'll give you, you know, the advice and guidance you need.
Yeah. So it's a good idea, really, as soon as you start even considering it, you know, especially I suppose if you've got children, just to come and have a quick chat with somebody, just to see what it all entails and what it could mean to you. And then obviously if you are done, you are definitely wanting out, want to go down the divorce route, then yeah, it definitely is a good idea to speak to a family solicitor. Definitely.
I mean, one of the other things you might want to think about, and certainly if you have children, we'll be looking for you to think about, is about them. And our advice will always be tailored to your individual family's needs. And that's going to depend on how old the children are. And as a parent, you're expected to support and encourage your children to have a relationship with the other parent, despite how you might feel about them, about that other parent. And our advice always aims to minimize the impact of the separation on your children. So when you're thinking about what's best for them, you know, it's really about, you know, how old they are, what sort of personalities do they have, how can you support them through this? We'll talk all that through with you, but you know, making sure that the impact of the separation is minimized on the children is something that we prioritize when we're advising our clients.
Yeah, lovely. So when someone comes to their first meeting with you, like so with that Zoom, is there any sort of documents or anything they need to bring with them?
Absolutely not. Once we've had that first meeting, we will have already asked for ID documents to identify who the client is. So that will already have been done electronically. We don't expect you to come to our first meeting with bank statements and mortgage redemption figures and you know, pension valuations. That will come later.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that we'll guide you to get, because we need to identify this date of separation first, and it's really important that we agree that with the other party before you go away and get the actual documents themselves. So knowing account numbers is helpful, knowing pension plan numbers is helpful, knowing who your mortgage is with is really helpful too. And just having a sort of general idea of what the assets and debts look like is great. But if you don't have it, again, you know, we'll take you through what we need.
And do you ever have clients who have had this come up before, you know, in the group hug, where a client comes in with documents from the other party, you know, their pension statement and things like that? That's a big no-no, I think, isn't it?
Well, we need to be really careful when we're considering what to do with those documents. So, you know, you can't take the other party's personal, you know, documents and documents that relate to their assets.
Yeah.
So, you know, gathering the information that's available to you is useful, but you shouldn't go sort of taking things from the other person's personal, you know, document file. In Scotland, what we expect and what is a sensible way to resolve things is for each party to disclose to the other what they have. That allows us to create this picture of what's in the pot to be divided. Now, sometimes people are more cooperative than others, but if somebody's not going to cooperate, then we have to go to court to ask the court to order them to provide the information. And if you've come across information, then certainly we can look at it if it relates to the other person and make sure that they are disclosing that to us. But ultimately, if any settlement is entered into and it later comes to light that there's not been a full disclosure, then that whole settlement can be opened up again. And, you know, good family lawyers will encourage their clients to be honest and forthcoming with the information. And there's recourse to the courts where that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So the saying, honesty is the best policy all the way through, and just, be open, transparent with everything. That's brilliant.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think one of the other things we'll ask you to think about is how you want your future to look. You know, it will be different, but not necessarily worse. And a divorce coach can help you kind of untangle your thoughts about that and get clear on what your priorities are. So we'll give you legal advice about that too, but we also have a support network at Scullion Law, family therapists and coaches who we've partnered with, and obviously we've got the group hug directory as well, so there's lots of support available for you to receive that emotional support and coaching if you need it, or therapy if that's helpful. So that when we come to you with options and we're asking you to make decisions, you've got a really kind of clear picture of what you want your future to look like. So it's always good to get that extra support as part of your team, as well as getting a family lawyer.
And that's the law professionals get on with what they're good at, the legal side, and the professionals who deal with the emotional side of it get on and deal with that. I just remember myself sending, you know, diatribes of emotional stuff to my solicitor sometimes, and it's really not useful, is it?
But it's understandable when you're in that situation, and you know your lawyer is the person you look to for advice, so you know they're the one that is supporting you through that process. There is a limit to what lawyers can do to support clients emotionally, and that's certainly why, you know, we've partnered up with the group hug. We're on your directory and we have our support network, because we recognize that, you know, divorce coaching and therapy is certainly something that benefits a lot of our clients. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, it's been lovely speaking to you, Judith, and I think we've covered everything in terms of, you know, when you've taken those first steps out into this whole new world and realizing that there are people that can help you. So thank you very much for that, and no doubt we'll be speaking to you again on other topics in the near future, so thank you.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy. Thank you so much.